and started referring to them as index card plays. so that's good. But the point remains the same. If this is literally just a fan of one team seeing all of this bad stuff, why, it stands to reason that there are a lot of other people. Another good example, going back to, I think it was 2 years ago now, it was Packers versus Lions. Lions were in the playoff hunt, and there was a phantom face mask, 2 phantom offsides, and a roughing the passer that got called on the Lions when it was Aaron Jones who ran into Aaron Rodgers, and they called Trey Flowers for roughing the passer. And it's very evident that the referees do have favorites, and favoritism determines the outcome of games, because the Lions should have won that game against the Packers, but the referees literally took away 2 turnovers and gave the ball back to the Packers. The referees are determining the outcome of games way too often.
It's a lot like we witnessed 2 years ago with the Rams and the Saints in the championship game.
I mean, missed calls are a thing, but I don't think anyone is going to sit here and say that was a refs playing favoritism thing, because pretty sure Drew Brees would be on that list of favorites. But I just really don't understand why the refs continue to be so horrible and then A, still have their job, and B, face absolutely no scrutiny for it, and then when anyone scrutinizes them, they get fined. Like, if a head coach goes out to the post-game conference and says, man, the referees really screwed us, that's a fine. Like, well, I don't understand it. But we're going to, I guess, move on, because we have bigger stuff to talk about than the referees screwing teams out of wins. And we're going to push forward to the Panthers versus the Falcons. Not a great game for anybody, honestly. Matt Ryan, not only did he look bad, his hand got all fucked up. Yeah, that was ugly. Tons of blood on that towel. Ugh. Sam Darnold, no touchdowns, 129 passing yards. What a fucking stinker. Matt Ryan, 146 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Again, another stinker. Where we do see some promise, no Christian McCaffrey, but Chuba Hubbard comes in, 24 carries, 82 yards, and a touchdown. Chuba Hubbard's looked pretty good in Christian McCaffrey's absence. But in general, the Falcons and the Panthers both ass. They suck. At one point, the Panthers were undefeated. They were 3-0. And then the Cowboys came in and rocked their world, and then they lost 4 straight. Including to the Eagles and the Giants. So, things got really messed up if they're losing to the Eagles and the Giants.
Pretty much.
Yep, not very good for them. Anything more you want to say about that game before we move on to the Bills-Dolphins?
Yeah.
All right, Bills-Dolphins. First, I want to start here by saying, man, Dolphins fans must have been pissed when they didn't get Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson did not get moved, for anyone who wasn't following the trade deadline. Not a whole lot going on. Von Miller obviously got traded. That was a pretty big one. Other than that, it was a couple of small trades.
It was a very boring trade deadline. The NFL often is. People are itching for these blockbuster trades, and you don't really see it happen that often in this league. It happens in the NBA sometimes, and
it's happening a lot more in the
I keep doing that
NBA.
in shows. Yeah. I just feel like you almost never see a big trade at the deadline anymore in the NFL. Teams, are overly cautious. Don't want to make a splash mid-season.
Some big name players that were expected to be traded that weren't. We'll start with the Cowboys. There were a lot of rumblings that Leighton Vander Esch could be traded, that Michael Gallup could be traded, that Tony Pollard could be traded. Obviously, the big names were Deshaun Watson. The Dolphins did make a push for him, but it ended up not being enough for the Texans. I don't know for sure what the offer was, but it sounded like it was Tua and 2 firsts for Deshaun, and the Texans said no, they wanted more, which is just absolutely stupid. Because the guy, first of all, he's never going to play again. Although they're saying it sounds like he's about ready to settle out of court. But settling out of court is a nice way of saying he's admitting he's guilty. Mm-hmm. But other big names, Odell Beckham Jr., not traded by the Browns. There were also ramblings that it's escaping. Well, obviously Von Miller did get traded. Cowboys were interested in trading for him. The other Browns wide receiver, Jarvis Landry was also linked to some trades. Devontae Parker and Will Fuller were also linked to trades. None of that happened. So trade deadline come and gone, even though multiple owners have said that they plan to be busy at the trade deadline. Evan Ingram, not traded. That was another player that people were thinking could be traded. I think a lot of teams really needed to do something. A lot of contenders and people looking at stuff for the future really should have been buyers, but they decided not to. Oh, the person I was thinking, Xavier Howard. Xavier Howard from the Dolphins was not traded. That one shocked me because I really thought a team desperate for a corner would go get him. A lot of other players that were linked to trades just didn't happen. But what did happen is the Bills continued to prove that the Dolphins last season was a fluke, as the Bills win 26-11, dropping the Dolphins to 1-7 on the season. Bills moved to 5-2. Man, these the Dolphins, they came in with some huge expectations. A lot of fans thinking that they're a playoff team. I've heard some fans say that they think they're an 11 or 12 win team, and best chance they've got now is 10-7, and that's not going to happen.
So I mean, for the hype that game had, it was still a very shaky game for Buffalo to let them hang that long.
Yeah, Josh Allen looked pretty good. 249 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tua, 205 yards, 1 interception. Myles Gaskin, the Dolphins need a running back. They need an offensive line. They need. I don't even know. They can't continue to play the way they do and be the level of successful that they should be, because their defense is good. They've got a lot of youth, a lot of talent on that team. Jalen Phillips is good. Emmanuel Ogbah is good. Then you go into that secondary, you got Eric Rowe, you've got Xavier Howard, you got Byron Jones. That secondary is a good secondary. They should be better than 1-7. But
speaking of which, you see Gaskin get nailed on that one play in the backfield?
Yup.
I think it was Matt Milano or whoever it was, just decked the dude and he didn't even get out of the backfield. It was.
Yep, Matt Milano is a killer. He's so good. I wish he was in Dallas because we need a linebacker right now. But Micah Hyde and Trey White, love them. Love them.
There really isn't much wrong with the Bills' defense right now at all.
Yeah, their run game, their run defense has been shaky in the past, looking like they fixed a little bit of that shakiness, a little stabilized, or it's a little more stable than it has been recently. So that's a good sign from the Bills. But they just need to continue. They shouldn't have Josh Allen be their leading rusher every game, and that's kind of
dangerous.
Yeah, it's kind of a problem, especially when it comes playoff time. Because if they had a run game, if they trusted Singletary and Zach Moss more, I think they beat the Chiefs last year and they go to the Super Bowl. I honestly do. I think what killed them was the inability to run. And I don't think it was an inability. I think they just didn't do it.
They would have Matt Braid in the mix. I mean, they could easily develop a dangerous ground attack. I get Moss and Singletary aren't ground and pound backs, but they mix it up. I mean, shit, that offense is really hard to stop.
I agree. Dan O'Shea's over there thinking, God damn, I wish they weren't so good, because he's a Jets fan. And Jets do seem like they have some kind of idea of how to put stuff together. We'll talk about contenders, pretenders in just a minute when we get to the Jets game. Right, Dan O'Shea?
Oh, yeah.
But just to finish on that point quick, like I said, I didn't understand putting it in Allen's hands on that fourth down in that Tennessee game. I mean, that was just dumb in itself.
Yeah.
They got to find other ways to trust the ball in other players' hands besides just having that dude take off and run.
Especially because, you have such great receivers in Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley and Emmanuel Sanders. You're telling me one of them can't get open for 1 yard?
Yeah. Gabe Davis.
Ooh, I love Gabe Davis. He's so good. But anyways.
And then you got, you literally have even Dawson Knox, who's basically turned into a wide receiver 4 for them. Dude makes huge plays.
Mm-hmm.
He's a beast, but he was out against the Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
Broken hand. He's expected to miss 1 more week.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been a nice safety blanket for Josh. Anytime he can't find one of the others, it's there's Dawson again.
Which is what a tight end historically has been. That's what the great tight ends have been. Even going back to guys like Mark Bavaro for the Giants and Antonio Gates and Tony Gonzalez and Jason Witten. The reason they're so good is because they are reliable. They get a little bit of separation, have good hands, but they can also block. That's what makes a great tight end. And, you see that with a lot of the tight ends now, like Travis Kelce, Dawson Knox. You're seeing that with Blake Jarwin, and you're seeing that with Dalton Schultz. And then there's also the receiving type of tight ends. A guy like Evan Ingram, a guy like George Kittle.
Mercedes Lewis.
Well, he's still part of that old school can block. But if I need someone to block, I'm not trusting George Kittle to be my blocker. Kyle Pitts, pretty much all hands, no shoulder, So the tight end has been an important part of the game, and Dawson Knox has been doing a really good job for Josh Allen to get him that safety blanket he needs. All right, moving on. 49ers 33, Bears 22. San Francisco moves to 3-4 behind Jimmy Garoppolo, who had a 322-yard day. No passing touchdowns, no interceptions. Justin Fields, 19 of 27 for 175, a touchdown and a pick. He also had 103 rushing yards with a touchdown. Elijah Mitchell, coming out of basically nowhere this season, 18 carries for 137 yards and a touch.
I saw you trade for him, you bastards.
Hey, listen, it wasn't my doing. Scott from Run the Point podcast.